So, folks, we have to talk about the fact that the United States, there's no other way of really framing this. The United States has surrendered to Iran. Now, the Trump administration will not admit that the United States has surrendered to Iran, and most mainstream outlets aren't going to talk about how this is effectively a colossal defeat for the United States government. But the text of the Memorandum of Understanding between the United States and Iran has been leaked, and we now have the 14 points of the memorandum, courtesy of Bloomberg, right? This is going to be formally signed on Friday of this week, or it's expected to be, which will then kick off a period of around 60 days for details like nuclear weapons to be ironed out, I guess, as well as sanctions to an extent. And just keep in mind, sanctions has a gigantic asterisk next to it, but we'll get to that in a bit. So what exactly? Yesterday, I talked about the broad strokes of what is in the memorandum. Now we have the actual text. What is in it? Okay? So here are the points. Number 1, the Islamic Republic of Iran and the United States, together with their allies in the current war, declare upon the signing of this Memorandum of Understanding an immediate and permanent end to the war on all fronts, including Lebanon, and undertake that from now on, they will not launch any hostile action against each other and will refrain from the threat or use of force against each other. The final agreement will confirm the provisions of this article and the remaining articles. So essentially, this is a core component. The number one component of the deal is that the United States, along with its ally, Israel, when this document is signed, again, Israel is not signing this agreement. It's simply the United States and Iran. But Israel must, upon the signing of this document, withdraw from Lebanon and bring an end to the war, and cannot resume hostilities against Lebanon. That's effectively the core component of this. And this remains, to me, one of the most obvious sticking points, because Israel is deeply, deeply, deeply opposed to this particular point. And this, by the way, this leak follows earlier in the day today, Donald Trump refusing to show the full text of the Memorandum of Understanding to Benjamin Netanyahu. So, like the fact that this leaked after Donald Trump said, we're not going to show it to you, I think there is an understanding here that this is going to be completely unpalatable to Benjamin Netanyahu. Because keep in mind, specifically Benjamin Netanyahu needs this war in order for him to remain in power. And this represents a colossal threat to Israel, because it means that if they continue their aggression towards Lebanon, they lose the United States. And if they lose the United States, they lose the ability to engage in aggression against their neighbors without repercussion. And this is going to be maybe one of the parts where Benjamin Netanyahu sabotages this entire arrangement. And we'll be talking a little bit more about that in a moment, but we're going to go through all of the points of the memorandum first. Okay? Point number 2. The Islamic Republic of Iran and the United States undertake to respect each other's sovereignty and territorial integrity, and to refrain from interfering in each other's internal affairs. 3. The Islamic Republic of Iran and the United States undertake to negotiate and reach a final agreement within a maximum period of 60 days, extendable by mutual consent. 4. Immediately upon the signing of this Memorandum of Understanding, the United States lift the naval blockade and prevent any interference or obstruction against the Islamic Republic of Iran, and restore traffic within a maximum of 30 days to its full capacity. The traffic of ships shall be proportional to the pre-war volume of traffic on the part of the Islamic Republic of Iran. The United States also undertakes to withdraw its forces from the surrounding areas within 30 days after the final agreement. Now, what is interesting here is that this is entirely on the United States' part. Like, this is entirely saying the United States is going to lift the naval blockade, not the Islamic Republic of Iran, who has been choking the Strait of Hormuz. Right? This is entirely leaving the Strait of Hormuz in Iran's hands. This is a colossal strategic defeat for the United States on this point alone. I'm a bit flabbergasted, to be honest. But let's continue because it gets worse. There are 14 points. We're only on point 4 with that one. Point 5. Upon the signing this Memorandum of Understanding, the Islamic Republic of Iran will immediately take steps to ensure the movement of merchant ships from the Persian Gulf to the Sea of Oman and vice versa is resumed within 30 days to the pre-war volume, taking into account the need for the removal of technical obstacles, like sea mines, and the neutralization of mines by Iran. Now, what's interesting here is that this leaves open the ability of Iran to charge fees and tolls. Nowhere in this is it like, oh, the free movement of merchant ships. Oh, no. Simply the movement of ships. Iran may very well, in this Memorandum of Understanding, have an agreement in place that allows them to formally charge tolls on the Strait of Hormuz. They do not own the water. I mean, this effectively reads to me like a deed of ownership over the Strait of Hormuz, if you read between the lines here. Point 6. The United States undertakes, together with its regional partners, to create a comprehensive plan agreed upon by both parties for the rehabilitation and economic development of the Islamic Republic of Iran, while ensuring financing of at least $300 billion. The implementation mechanism of this plan, as part of the final agreement, will be formulated within 60 days. This is war reparations. We are paying almost the entirety of Iran's GDP to Iran for the damage we have done to them. We have lost so sufficiently, we are paying them reparations. You have no facts? It's in the document, man. I don't know what to tell you. You might not like reality, but I linked it for you to look at. You might not like it, but Jesus, I'm not making this shit up. Point 7. The United States commits to ending, on a schedule to be agreed upon as part of the final agreement, all types of sanctions currently facing the Islamic Republic of Iran, including resolutions of the United Nations Security Council and the Board of Governors of the International Atomic Energy Agency, and all unilateral U.S. sanctions, both primary and secondary. They are just straight up committing, okay, we're going to remove all sanctions on you. We are going to pay you war reparations. We are going to give you control over the Strait of Hormuz. We are going to give you everything. I've never seen anything like this get strong-armed out of the United States like this. The document is paywalled. It's true, though I'm sure some people in the audience are resourceful enough to unpaywall it. Point number 8. The Islamic Republic of Iran reiterates that it will never produce nuclear weapons. The Islamic Republic of Iran and the United States have agreed that the fate of enriched material and the fate of all other mutually agreed nuclear-related issues, including Iran's nuclear needs, will be adequately addressed in the final agreement. The final agreement will confirm the provisions of this article. So, just as a quick aside here, so far we have 5. We have 5 out of the 8 points so far requiring finalization during this 60-day negotiation period. So, like, this is far from being sealed, and finished, by the way. Yeah, by the way, the 300 billion is on top of the 120 billion the United States has already spent on this insane, pointless military endeavor. Point 9. The Islamic Republic of Iran and the United States agree that pending a final agreement, that's now 6 points, they will maintain the status quo. Iran will maintain the status quo on its nuclear program, and the United States will not impose new sanctions on Iran or strengthen its forces in the region. Point number 10. The United States undertakes that immediately after the signing of this Memorandum of Understanding and until the date of the lifting of sanctions, the United States Treasury Department will issue waivers for exports of Iranian crude oil, petrochemical products, and their derivatives, and all related services, including banking, insurance, transportation, and the like. So, essentially, upon signing this, the United States is lifting as many sanctions as it can unilaterally lift on any oil exported out of Iran, and is also freeing up banking, insurance, and transportation services to Iran that have previously been cut out. How many billions? $300 billion in just the Reconstruction Fund alone. All right?
America is Trump's chop shop. It's violent QFC. UFC WWE weak men who pretend to be strong for those who are flimsy. They're not talking about women and trans or queer people. It's flimsy dudes with no spines. They are jellyfish.
No, like, that's entirely what it is. Fascists are fundamentally weak. 100% driver phone. And thank you for the $20 super chat. Fascism is a weak ideology for weak-minded people. It is for people who lack spines, like you observe. The reason people like that are drawn towards MMA in particular is because it makes them feel by proximity like they're big and tough. It's why Donald Trump likes MMA and likes wrestling, like WWE. Like, he feels like by associating himself with them, he's associating himself with an image of toughness, an image of masculinity. And he lacks any of that on his own, of course. You only have to look at him. You only have to listen to him to realize that. But, like, again, the proximity is an important component because it gives out the vibes of being a strong man, right? And the vibes for a fascist are all that matters. I just can't get over the point number 10, just immediately opening up banking, insurance, transportation, and all oil exports from Iran. But that's crazy to me. Anyway, this represents by the way, a huge threat to Israel. And I say that because Israel's hegemony in the region is dependent on them being one of the strongest and only allies in the region, right? However, if the United States here is giving $300 billion to rebuild Iran and also lifting all of these barriers that had previously been in place, it also opens the door for the United States to become closer with Iran in like a healthier geopolitical way and escape from this kind of abusive relationship that bleeds out into the surrounding region between the United States and Israel. The last thing Israel wants to see is a normalized relations between Iran and the United States. And it's part of the reason why a lot of Israelis deeply hate news of this deal. And now we get to point number 11. The United States undertakes that, in light of the progress of negotiations towards a final agreement, that's now 7 points that are dependent on the final agreement, frozen or restricted funds and assets of the Islamic Republic of Iran will be released and made fully available. These funds, whether held in the master account or transferred, will be used for any final beneficiary payment determined by the Central Bank of the Islamic Republic of Iran and will be fully available for use. The United States undertakes to issue all necessary permits and licenses on this basis. Now, how much money does Iran have tied up? Okay, according to the Wall Street Journal, the total amount is estimated to range from anywhere from $20 billion to $50 billion in frozen assets. So that's as of 2 hours ago from the Wall Street Journal. So if we take into account the full amount of money that is being put at Iran's disposal here by the United States alone, we're talking like $350 billion. Like again, I want to remind you all, the GDP of Iran, let's get the exact number. From World Bank open data. Let's throw that up on screen real quick. Their current GDP, or at least as of 2024, was $475.25 billion. We are talking about an amount of money that rivals the entire economic output of Iran over the course of like 10 months. Like, this is that is a very substantial amount of money. Let's take a look here at the remaining points. The Islamic Republic of Iran and the United States agree that an implementation mechanism will be established to oversee the successful implementation and future commitment to the final agreement. 13. Following the signing of this Memorandum of Understanding and upon receipt of assurances regarding the commencement of implementation of Articles 4, 5, 10, and 11 of this Memorandum of Understanding and the continued implementation of these steps, the Islamic Republic of Iran and the United States will enter into negotiations for a final agreement solely with respect to the remaining articles. 14. The final agreement will be approved through a binding resolution of the UN Security Council. Like, that's where we're at with this agreement. And this does seem to be where this is all going. This has been confirmed not just by Bloomberg, by the way. It was also confirmed by another outlet, though I'm forgetting at the moment which one. So that's what we're looking at. To really boil it down, we're looking at a complete withdrawal of U.S. troops. We are looking at the continued ability of Iran to control the Strait of Hormuz. We are looking at the ending of all sanctions on Iran. We are looking at frankly, the ending of all frozen assets for the state of Iran. We are looking at a colossal reparations fund for Iran. And the United States, in exchange for all of this, effectively gets nothing. We get global humiliation. We get hundreds of billions of taxpayer dollars sent to Iran. That's it. Like, this is genuinely a colossal defeat. Like, I'm not kidding when I describe this as the United States surrendering to Iran. Does any of this benefit the citizens of Iran? I mean, I'm assuming the hundreds of billions of dollars are going to be used to rebuild the destroyed portions of Iran. So to an extent, functional infrastructure is probably a huge win. This is global humiliation, and it will embolden other actors around the world. Like, you could consider this a downgrade of the American state from a superpower to merely a regional power. Like, I'm not saying that's even necessarily a bad thing, but this is a definitive loss for the United States. This might be the biggest loss for the United States since 1812. Like, and this will have lingering consequences both domestically and internationally for decades to come. And like, it's really difficult to overstate the impact that this is going to have going forward. The death knell of the post-Cold War empire. Yeah, I've been seeing historians compare it to when the British tried to reassert their control over the Suez Canal during the Suez Canal crisis. And like, their failure was effectively the end of the British ability to project power across the world. It was, to a degree, an end of the British Empire. And we're witnessing that for the US right now. however you feel about it, this is hundreds of billions of dollars that could have been used to make your kid's school better, that could have been used to make your local hospital better, that could have been used to invent new and crazy technologies to keep us alive longer, to better our lives, to improve the quality of the lives we live here. And instead, it was used to kill children in another country. And ultimately, we got nothing for that. It's more of a Vietnam situation. The reason I say it's a bigger deal than Vietnam is because Vietnam didn't mean we lost the Cold War. Vietnam didn't end American empire. Vietnam wasn't like unimportant. It's a very, very important historical event. But in terms of what it meant for America and Americans, like, there's a reason why Vietnam veterans in the United States felt like forgotten by the system. And it's because people in America forgot the Vietnam War. This isn't ending American empire either. It's just weakening it. No, this is like it much like the Suez Canal crisis for the British didn't end the British Empire, but heralded the decline of the British Empire, which ultimately ended. Like, that's what's happening here. History has repeated. It has rhymed. It is also interesting to see some of the reports coming out of Israel. This is a report, take with a grain of salt, from Israel Hayom. Now, they claim to have a source within the Trump administration. Trump weighs purge of Iran deal opponents in his administration. The U.S. president is considering firing senior officials who opposed a nuclear agreement with Iran, among them War Secretary Pete Hegseth and CIA Director John Ratcliffe. Now, the source apparently talked to Israel Hayom 2 days ago. What was described essentially goes, the debate has been settled. Anyone who opposed it could pay a personal price. A senior U.S. source told Israel Hayom 2 days ago, describing what was taking place behind the scenes of the White House discussions on Iran. The person who, for the time being, appears to be enjoying immunity is Secretary of State Marco Rubio. Keep in mind, as all of this plays out in the coming days, Marco Rubio and JD Vance have knives out for each other because they're both trying to position themselves as the competent one for a 2028 run for the presidency, right? They're starting to like pull out the knives for each other. And it would not surprise me if the source for this story was Marco Rubio. It wouldn't surprise me one bit. Several weeks ago, Israel Hayom reported on a tense conversation in which a heated argument broke out among some of those involved, including between Vice President J.D. Vance and the president. Vance, Steve Witkoff, and Jared Kushner, who are managing the negotiations with Iran, support a deal with the regime, in part because of the assessment that the regime will not fall within a reasonable time frame, and also because of pressure from some of the Gulf states, led by Qatar. Secretary of State Marco Rubio and War Secretary Pete Hegseth, with the help of several senior officials at the Pentagon and the State Department, presented an assessment that the Iranian regime was dying because of economic pressure, and that intensifying that pressure was the right way to secure its surrender, or alternatively, its collapse. Last week, a pointed conversation was held in which the decision was made, and the U.S. president made a final decision to move forward with the Memorandum of Understanding. A demand by Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent not to lift the sanctions, since reinstating them would be extremely difficult, changed the terms only slightly, and the sanctions are expected to be lifted, at least in part, during the full opening of the Strait of Hormuz, meaning without any meaningful Iranian concession. The president accepted the position of his two envoys and his deputy on the Israeli issue as well, although Vice President Vance stated in White House briefings that Israel's right to defend itself would be preserved every time Israel attacks in Lebanon, and during the strike in Iran last week as well. He demanded that the president stop Netanyahu and accused the prime minister of deliberately trying to torpedo the emerging agreement, which, to be fair, is correct. That is what is happening here. So there is clearly some kind of positioning going on within the Trump administration here. And again, as we move forward, earlier today, again, after the signing of this memorandum, Israel bombed Lebanon again. And Iran 4 hours ago put out a statement effectively saying that, again, you need to end the war in Lebanon if this is going to proceed any further. And I have every reason to believe that Donald Trump is highly incentivized to get beyond this, because he's already putting out statements that he wants to put the war behind him. Like, I think Donald Trump might actually be done with this particular adventure. But Israel, however, is going to continue escalating however it can. And what we've seen today is pretty heinous, which is Cabinet Secretary Bezalel Smotrich has effectively revoked the ability of Palestinians in Hebron to issue any kind of zoning for new buildings, and given it over entirely to the Israeli military. And this is largely a product that will allow the Israeli military to dictate how the largest city in the occupied West Bank is actually governed and actually functions, right? Smotrich put out this statement saying, yesterday we canceled the Hebron agreements. Beyond that, no changes occurred. Now, the Palestinian Authority has put out a statement saying such unilateral measures are unacceptable and constitute a violation of the agreements signed by the Israeli side, as well as international law. And basically saying, stop this most dangerous step. And the mayor of Hebron said that this basically, the agreements as they previously existed were the political framework governing Hebron's administrative, security, and service arrangements, and that any modification like this amounts to a serious breach with far-reaching consequences. I would describe this as effectively a power grab that means effectively you have a mayor in name alone. You have Palestinian leadership within the city in name alone. Instead, the real power now is Israel. Israel is now effectively seizing the largest Palestinian city in the West Bank. All of this is happening among a massive surge in land grabs, a massive surge in settlement expansion. There are currently ongoing pogroms against Palestinians at the hands of settlers and the Israeli military within the occupied territories. It is truly catastrophic. And actions like this, while the occupied West Bank is not included in the Memorandum of Understanding in any way, shape, or form, what's happening here is, it's a provocation, for sure. And I wanted to play this clip because we're not done with JD Vance, because JD Vance also appeared on The Five today on Fox News. And Jessica Tarlov, bless her heart, doing her best on there, really did hold his feet to the fire just a little bit. Let's take a look.
You know, there's been leaked versions of this MOU, not just in the Iranian press, in the Saudi press, the Pakistani press. The American press has gotten their hands on some details as well. You know, the Wall Street Journal has it that Iran can immediately sell oil and that they're going to get some sanctions relief right off the bat. That was...
Oh, let me just respond to a comment real quick from the vertical chat. Love how if this person walked into the West Bank or Iran would be killed. I personally love how much conservatives love to observe where and when I could get killed. It's super cool, because I got to be honest, I'm not that worried about being killed by Iran's security state. I'm not that worried about being killed by anyone in Gaza. But I am worried about being targeted for violence by people like you, who just simply seem to get off on the idea of violence towards LGBTQ people. Because, you know, I never hear Muslim people in the United States threaten to throw me off a building. I never hear Palestinians in the United States threaten to throw me off a building. But goddamn, do white MAGA conservatives love threatening to throw queer people off of buildings. They love talking about, oh, those people, they'd love to throw you off of buildings. Why are you getting off on the violence, Chief? Why does that seem to be the only thing that like gets you hard? It's weird. It's weird and grotesque. And I truly wish one day some of you folks could like wake up and look in the mirror and realize the kind of monsters you are for finding perverse joy in that idea. And I know many of you would just be like, well, no. We obviously we don't want gay people thrown off of buildings, but like, you guys realize there are tons of people like you who do want that. Like, y'all are part of a political movement dedicated to wiping out the ability of LGBTQ people to exist in public. Y'all want to pass laws to remove LGBTQ people from your site. You are so insecure and you hate people like me so much that you want to make it illegal for me to exist. Because ultimately, when we really get down to it, the dominant force in American politics that wants to make it a crime punishable by death to be gay are MAGA conservatives. Y'all are the ones actively pushing towards that. So, like, don't come to me and be like, well, in another country, they do something bad to you. Y'all want that to be here. Like, literally, there was a guy in my comments on a video about Michael Knowles talking about LGBTQ puppets, talking about how tired he was of having to see gay people, on a video about LGBTQ puppets, and about how he wanted to go back to the 1960s when nobody talked about that stuff and gay people didn't exist. Queer people existed back then too. Y'all just want to use the power of the state to violently oppress us until we're no longer visible to you. And I would hazard a guess that might include throwing us off of buildings. So, I don't know. Just kind of seems like something that you're a little bit too happy about every time you bring it up.
Something that we heard was not going to happen. So they have an incentive to get this going by Friday, and there's going to be money changing hands. In the copies of the MOU that we've seen, again, leaked, we have this $300 billion fund. And I saw you last night, you were with...
Yeah, I have met a lot of Muslim people in the United States. Not a single fucking one of them has ever threatened me. I cannot say the same for the Christian folks I've met. I cannot say the same for the MAGA folks I've met. Most MAGA folks that come into my videos and come into my comments talk about wanting to make me not exist in some kind of way. And I think it's telling about the kind of people they are and the kind of people that this political movement actually spawns.
Sean talking about it, he said, well, it's not our money. It's, Gulf nation money, our partners' money, but that's still a $300 billion payday, and that's something that they desperately want to have. The punting on the nuclear program for the 60-day negotiation, that's the real tough stuff of this, right? Like, that's the meat of what we really need to get done. And you say the JCPOA, didn't have anything about that. It's in the preamble of the JCPOA that Iran will cease all efforts to have a nuclear weapon and enrichment.
Yeah, also the JCPOA literally had the International Atomic Energy Commission coming in and providing inspections on a routine basis to make sure enrichment could not occur over a certain threshold. And Iran never did. The only times they were in violation of the JCPOA ever were 2 times. And both times it was for having slightly too much heavy water, because they were allowed to have 5,000 gallons and they had 5,001 gallons. It was a very easy mistake to make. And then they just shipped some of the water to a different country. It wasn't a big violation whatsoever.
It will be held at about 3%.
Well, they can't enrich now because they can't get the dust, Jessica.
Also,
Barack Obama never buried it.
Well, the vice president is here. Don't interrupt me, and then it'll be over really fast.
Okay. I wasn't interrupting him. I was interrupting you.
I meant me. Be polite for our guest.
Okay, I'll try my best.
And, people who are disappointed with this deal, and it's not just Democrats, it's the whole spectrum of Republicans from, MAGA America First Republicans to...
Nick Fuentes sends his regards. Oh, thanks for promoting my stream, I guess. It gets more eyeballs on me. And also, I don't know. I hope the next time Nick answers the door, he doesn't just randomly assault somebody. It was pretty freakish and weird behavior from him. But maybe it'd be a different response if a twink was knocking on his door, huh?
Traditional neocon Republicans who are concerned that it doesn't actually get rid of this ballistic missile program, the proxy forces, the regime change, which were the initial promises of this war. And I think also that big Axios report last night was meaningful, where they said that CIA Director Ratcliffe, Rubio, and Hegseth, based on American intelligence, were doubting the kind of results they thought we could get out of this deal.
So just
like, it's pretty rich to come into my stream and dunk on me for being what you think is a femboy when, like, you're clearly coming from Nick Fuentes' camp. And let's be real, Nick Fuentes loves femboys more than he loves most types of people. It's like the one group of people he doesn't want to wipe out. You know what I'm saying?
clearly address a couple of things, because I think you're making the same mistake, unfortunately, that a lot of the Iranian propagandists make when they talk about this,
like
which
the
is
Wall Street Journal?
They talk about the benefits to the Iranians without any of the things the Iranians would have to give up and have to change in order to get those benefits. So you mentioned a $300 billion fund. I got to be very clear about this. Not a single cent of American money under any circumstance, no matter what the Iranians do, goes to Iran. Not a single cent of American money.
Other money.
Here's
not a single cent of American money, except the $300 billion that the Memorandum of Understanding promises that America will pay them. Like, it's crazy to me that he's like, well, you know, it's not the 300 billion isn't going to come from America.
Sheds. As a pan-trans woman, I care about the Palestinian people because no one deserves to be a victim of genocide.
True.
Free Palestine.
Also true. Thank you for the 5 gifted tier 1 subs, Comrade Girl. Appreciate it.
What this says. This says, for example, let's say that the United Arab Emirates, who have been a great ally, let's say they want to invest in a power plant in Iran.
I honestly believe the Groypers hope you're a femboy in the delusion that you might somebody be seduced and give their god king.
Ugh.
The pegging he truly desires.
Ugh, gross. Let's not speak that into any reality. Gross.
Iran. What this deal provides is that if the Iranians have done everything we require them to do, then we will allow the United Arab Emirates to do that. Because they can't do that right now without American approval.
That's not included, right? Like, the reconstruction plan in the Memorandum of Understanding requires $300 billion from America. It isn't $300 billion from other countries who are not party to the Memorandum of Understanding. It's $300 billion from America. And $300 billion in addition to sanctions relief. Exactly, Petra Karoma. Like, what's happening here is, frankly, just lies, I guess. Like, JD Vance is just straight up lying. And alternatively, and this I think might be the funniest possible option, is that the Trump administration is lying about the Memorandum of Understanding. And what I mean by that is the Trump administration thinks that they can get away with doing lies in the Memorandum of Understanding itself to Iran. Because some of what has been communicated prior to the actual text leaking is effectively the idea that if you do see the text floating around, you shouldn't trust it because, trust us, bro, we got back channel negotiations that have happened. We have certain back channel guarantees from Iran that we are going to get more out of this deal than you initially meets the eye. And that's just, there's no reason for us to believe that. There's no reason to believe that whatsoever.
So we're fundamentally saying if the Iranians transform how they interact with the world, we will transform how the world economy interacts with Iran. But if they don't do any of that stuff, they don't get any of these benefits. So I think
So, like, just in case you guys are trying to wonder at what I was talking about, where's my citation for this? It would be here. From CNN, U.S. officials downplay text of the Iran agreement saying it doesn't account for back channel commitments. And the officials described the text of the agreement as incredibly vague, mainly intended to create a more favorable environment for the highly technical in-person talks to come. They added that the framework is aimed at providing Iran the ability to sell it politically to their internal audience. Additionally, the officials said that the text of the Memorandum of Understanding, which Vice President J.D. Vance told CNN Monday is 1.5 pages long, didn't reflect critical back-channel commitments Iran had made to the United States, which they argued gave them more confidence in signing on the agreement. People shouldn't read too much into the language of the MOU. It's a political document, which seems to me like an argument that you're just telling lies. Either you're saying it's just lies so that you can pull a fast one on Iran, or you're saying it's just lies so you can sell this to the American people and, dipshit MAGA folks can pretend like, no, don't worry, there's totally a secret deal. We just don't know it. We've got the high level ideas over on the MAGA side, right, guys? My name's Dave Rubin. Like, it's truly some horse shit. But the Memorandum of Understanding that we went over is the real deal. It's been reported by multiple outlets now, confirmed, and it's kind of put JD Vance in a tough spot because as he's doing his book tour, he has to keep on defending the Memorandum of Understanding now, and it's really fucked him and his book over. Here he is on Megyn Kelly.
Let's talk about what happened to the GOP base as a result of all this.
Okay.
Because it's divided. I know you've experienced it yourself. I've experienced it too. It's been sort of a sad, tumultuous, stressful time.
Sure.
It's much more fun, I think, for most of us who lean right or are right-leaning independents to be fighting with the left. But it's been kind of civil war-y over on the conservative teams since this whole thing got launched.
Yep.
And I love this because it puts JD Vance in a really terrible position, right? Because on the one hand, JD Vance needs to keep the MAGA coalition together if he wants to have any chance of winning in 2028, right? But on the other hand, he knows that he can't satisfy both sides. Either he is going to have to ally himself with the Christian nationalist contingent that is developing a hatred for Israel, or he's going to have to ally himself with the Ben Shapiro pro-Israel MAGA side, which is made up of, a mix of evangelicals and other folks who want to, fulfill a prophecy to bring about the end of the world. And this is a schism that is not going to go away and can't really be papered over too much at the moment. Really what's keeping them together now is Donald Trump, is that cult of personality, and is, the perceived end and winding down of this conflict in MAGA circles. If this conflict heats up again, and if, this schism deepens as Trump increasingly is out the door, JD Vance is not in a good spot.
The non-interventionalist right feels very betrayed by it. Whether
Christian nationalist means what? It means someone who wants, Christianity to be the law of the land in the United
telling
States.
Slow guys they don't need to re-river you a star like the sun in the middle of the earth molten, keep burning and spotlighting till that riverboat on lava.
Indeed. I'm not sure entirely what all that meant, but thank you for the $10 super chat.
you agree with that they've been betrayed or not, Mr. Vice President, what do you say to those people?
Well, what I'd say to them is one, I think you can walk through all the ways in which this has led to a good place for the United States of America. And I'd ask them not to...
I want to really reiterate to you folks that we went through every point in the Memorandum of Understanding, and the United States literally got jack shit out of it.
Sort of view this purely through the filter. I know, a lot of these folks are frustrated with the role that Israel has in all this. We can talk about that. But don't look at it from the lens of, what is it that different people think about it? What do you think about it? Fundamentally, do
They're
you
against
think...
it. I've talked to a lot of them.
But I'm saying, ask yourself, I think you can make...
Wait, did I forget that AOC exists and is very popular? No, I was talking about the primary in 2028. Like, if he wants to have any hope at all, he's got to be able to make it through the primary, and he can do that by keeping MAGA unified. But also, like, MAGA is going to be deeply weakened by the departure of Donald Trump.
The best argument that...
Not you at Chatter? Oh, gotcha.
The nuclear program is destroyed. The Iranian conventional military is destroyed. We had, yes, a temporary rise in energy prices that's already coming down substantially. And
did I know that Cenk Uygur was is it Uyghur or Uyghur? Did I know that Cenk was Hassan's uncle? You bet I did.
Live from the Polymarket studio in LA.
Fucking sellout.
We didn't get, as I said repeatedly, we were never going to get the quagmire that a lot of people were warning about because Donald Trump is just not George W. Bush. So I would say the first argument I'd make is look at where we are right now. And I think you can make the best argument that where we are right now is a good place for the United States of America. And again, if we transform the Middle East,
what else
this was fundamentally worth it. Okay. The second argument I'd make, this is
Megyn Kelly's sitting there like, that's not enough. Next.
Maybe is this. Even if you disagree with this particular action, it's completely ridiculous to pick up your marbles and go home. That's not how politics works. And I've been very much on the inside of a lot of these debates and conversations. You know, some people have criticized our immigration policy. Some people have criticized tax policy, or some people have criticized foreign policy. The way that politics works is that you have to stay engaged in the process. You absolutely have to make your voice.
Funny liberals think after Trump leaves, Vance won't get the same votes. He's not going to get the same votes. Like, I gotta be honest, y'all don't give a shit when he shows up to talk. Like, it's comical, the crowds he draws as vice president. And also, again, y'all are never going to ever live this fucking down.
It's couch fucker. You gonna fuck a couch, buddy? Right here. Do not go past streets. Pussy boy. Go fuck a couch. Go fuck a couch, JD Vance. Go fuck a couch.
Like, dude has a level of charisma that genuinely makes people think, yeah, he is the kind of guy who would fuck a couch. Like, he can't even walk into a fucking Shake Shack without getting heckled. Like, I'm sorry. He can't fucking order donuts like a normal human being. He can't do it. He's incapable of coming across like a normal, relatable human that you could, like, get a beer with. And, like, frankly, the vibes are the only thing that Republicans have going for them. Y'all don't care about policy. Y'all don't care about actual effects on you or your neighbors. You don't care. What you care about is the vibes, and his vibes are rancid. His vibes are corporate as hell. His vibes are bought by Peter Thiel. Like, I'm sorry. I don't know, maybe he's autistic. That literally has nothing to do with anything about him, if he is. So it will be a Rubio ticket. I mean, my guess is if Marco Rubio and Vance throw down, my guess would be Rubio's going to win. But Marco Rubio also has the charisma of a moldy carrot. Like, neither of them are appealing to the vast majority of Republicans in the same way Donald Trump is.
Voice heard, but right now we have a very good deal for the American people, and importantly,
the only person I'm worried running in the Republican Party would be Tucker Carlson, and like, I don't even know if he's going to run, so we'll see.
We have a constituency right now that is saying that we're going to send boots on the ground. They want Donald Trump to send hundreds of thousands of ground troops into Iran. The best thing,
those
we
are
need
Republicans.
People, but we need people to be pushing back from inside the tent.
Okay,
the frustration,
but wait, some of us
I would
push back,
point.
And then we're told, and I quote, "Those who speak ill of Mark Levin are not MAGA."
Well,
oh man, his fucking fake laugh. Like, you can't watch this as a MAGA person and tell me, like, y'all think that he's he's smooth. You can't tell me you actually like anything about this guy. And if you do say that, I'm going to call you a liar.
President
Mark
I would
push back, and then we're told, and I quote, "Those who speak ill of Mark Levin are not MAGA."
Well, the president, as he does, is pushing back at a criticism of yours that he thought was unfair.
But not just me. I mean, a lot of the non-interventionalists.
But I talked to
Of course.
him last night, and I said, Mr. President, I'm going to go on Megyn Kelly's show, and I'm going to defend the administration's policies. He said, absolutely, I love that. Because, again,
good. Tell him he should do it next.
He engages, and he's going to criticize you when he agrees or disagrees with you.
I don't mind his
He's going to say
fine.
nice things about you when he agrees with you. But that's what I actually love about the president. Is he's not like viewing these debates from the outside. Mm-hmm. He's participating in them himself. And again, Megyn, the frustration that I've had with, the non-interventionist side has been that the attitude seems to be, we disagree with the president on this policy. Look, we can have that debate, but fine, okay? You disagree with the president on this particular policy. That doesn't mean you can give up on the entire enterprise.
Yeah, no,
and the reason,
I agree with
Megyn,
that.
the reason why neocons are so much more effective in politics than the people on the other side in our coalition is because they play the game. Mm-hmm. They get disappointed, they make their criticisms, and they go back and they live to fight another day. Right now, we need everybody who recognizes that this is a good deal for the American people and that we don't want, like John Podolitz is saying, hundreds of thousands of ground troops in Iran. Make your voice heard. This is where you've got to participate in the process. Disagree when you disagree. Agree when you agree.
I'm reasonable because while we have thrown away hundreds of billions of dollars, I'm reasonable because we didn't, checks notes, invade with hundreds of thousands of troops into Iran. Do you guys have any idea just how suicidally stupid that would be? Like, it's not like you need a ton of political pressure to not put boots on the ground in Iran, because it's just, again, a suicidally stupid thing to do.
But
like the reason we're even having to have this conversation in the first place, this is where you need to get involved in democracy. Let people know you don't want hundreds of thousands of troops on the ground. Like, my brother in Christ, you made this situation happen. Like, you did this. Iran would crumble if the USA invaded. Are you stupid? Like, are you one of the stupidest people to ever be spawned by our species? Do you have any idea how big Iran's military is? They've got like over 1 million people prepared to like go fight. Iran is built like a fucking natural fortress. If you thought Afghanistan was bad and fighting against people in caves there, this is like 1,000 times worse. It's literally one of the cradles of civilization. People have been building fortifications in Iran since the dawn of our species' civilization. And you're like, nah, dog, it'd be super easy. 1 million people holed up in a country that's basically one gigantic fortification. It's called the fucking Graveyard of Empires for a reason, bucko. Bunker busters handle it. We don't have enough bunker busters for that. We're already out of fucking interceptor missiles because we used them all in the span of like 8 weeks. You think we have the capability to wage a war on a mass scale like that? Like, the reason Americans are willing to put up with it is because very few American soldiers have died so far. You put 100,000, 200,000 American troops on the ground in Iran, the death toll is going to go up astronomically. Astronomically. This is stupid as hell. They're a third world country with no economy. They are one of the guys, I don't know how to break this to you if you're MAGA. They have capabilities that dwarf Iran and Iraq, or not Iran, Afghanistan and Iraq and Vietnam in their prime, at their peak, right? Iran has one of the largest militaries on earth, and they've decently equipped said military. The reason we haven't put boots on the ground in Iran is because they have a lot of things on the ground that can kill American soldiers. The reason we have just been bombing them is because that's what we can do relatively easily without incurring losses. But there's a finite number of things we can bomb. There are a finite number of planes we have. And if we ever tried to set foot on the ground to actually try and capture territory in Iran, that would be one of the bloodiest conflicts America has ever entered into. Like, I don't know what to tell you. There's a reason the United States surrendered to Iran in this Memorandum of Understanding. And the reason is we fucking lost. America's spending $350 billion, giving $350 billion of your taxpayer dollars to Iran just out of the goodness of America's heart. Like, well, and that's the thing. Sulfatimina, I sorry to butcher your username. Like, Iraq, Afghanistan, Vietnam, not known for their militaries. Iran is known for its military. They have greater military capabilities than basically any other country America has picked a fight with since World War II. Like, I don't know. Like, the unearned confidence here is exactly what gets hundreds of thousands of people killed when it's put in charge of militaries. This is from March. This is the Center for Strategic and International Studies. Let's just take a quick look at that. Rebuilding U.S. missile inventory, a multi-year project. The 39-day bombing and air defense campaign against Iran depleted inventories of key U.S. munition stockpiles, as previous CSIS analysis detailed. The United States has enough munitions for any plausible scenario in the Iran war, but the depleted inventories have created a window of vulnerability for a potential Western Pacific conflict. The time needed to rebuild these inventories has thus become a major concern. Pete Hegseth said it will take months and years, depending on the weapon system, to replenish U.S. inventories. And let's just take a look here. Key munition stockpiles. Estimated use in the Iran war of Tomahawk missiles over 1,000, which is far more than what we produce in any given year. And estimated return to pre-war inventory not until 2030 or 2031. Like, the amount of time it's going to take to get us back to a position where we just had the stockpiles we had prior to this conflict, it's quite a bit. I just don't know what to tell you. We've used like over half of our inventory of missiles. How much of that inventory was sold to Israel with our tax dollars? Asking for a friend. Genuinely great question. Probably a not insignificant amount.
Don't like this idea of the president did something I didn't like, so I'm out.
Yeah.
I think it's a very immature.
5 years isn't long. 5 years is a long time if you are facing the prospect of a ground invasion into Iran, where in 39 days they were able to deplete half the accumulated stockpile that took years to make.
Way to approach the political process.
I agree with you.
And it's the way to ensure that your enemies always
You look like AI. Why? Because I look good?
win.
I've been saying the same because a lot of people have been saying that they feel blackpilled by the whole experience. You know, like I'm just out. And I have been trying to make the point that you can't do that, right?
No,
you got to stay.
that's right.
But realistically, because after these midterms are over,
can I make one more point about this, Megan? This is like very important. I'm sorry to interrupt, but
no, it is.
So look, the coalition that made Donald Trump the President of the United States, and J.D. Vance, the Vice President of the United States. People have to remember this. It was Megyn Kelly and Tucker Carlson and Joe Rogan. It was also Mark Levin. It was also a lot of people.
What you're saying is a lie. Okay, well, here is the stockpile of munitions we had prior to the Iran conflict. Let's just take a quick look. So we had 3,100 Tomahawk missiles. We've gone through over a third of that in 39 days of use. We had 4,400 JASSMs. We've gone through a quarter of that in the span of 39 days. We had 90 PRSMs. We went through almost all of them, 70, over the course of 39 days. We had 410 SM-3s, and we went through over half of those in 39 days. We had 1,160 SM-6s. We went through almost half of those, or not almost half, like maybe about a quarter of those. We had 360 THAADs, which are very important for intercepting, and we used potentially 290 of them, leaving us with 70 left. And as far as Patriot missiles go, we used half of our stock of Patriot missiles. And it will take years to rebuild those. And the idea that we are going to, if we put boots on the ground, win a war in just like another 39 days is deeply laughable. And the second you start running out of those munitions is the second soldiers start dying by the busloads. So, like, I don't know what to tell you guys. I'm sorry that the facts hurt your feelings. Now let's finish this.
People like John Podhoretz, who want a more aggressive foreign policy. What I think is important, I'm never going to say that John Podhoretz is not welcome in the Republican Party. He is. But just as he's disappointed right now, sometimes other people are going to be disappointed at other times. You can't just quit politics because the leader of a country of 330 million people makes a decision you disagree with.
Mm-hmm. I agree with you. I know a lot of people don't agree with us here. They're very...
I mean, that's not the concern with MAGA, though. The concern is the coalition breaks and his political power base ends. Like, it is not sufficient to actually buoy him to a point of political safety or enough to get reelected in 2028. Like, that's the concern. The concern is that the schism prevents the effective use of MAGA politics.
Very angry over the Iran war. It was like their number one issue.
Which, to be clear, is not a concern for me. I would deeply like for this schism to deepen and for the Republican Party to effectively fall to infighting and be unable to accomplish any damn thing. I would like that. And this is the best possible outcome.
And they feel like Trump is not the man they thought he was because he betrayed that promise and didn't explain much about it. And I understand their feeling too. But I will just say that, you know, Podhoretz and Levin and all those guys, that's the original Never Trump crew. They hated him. I was there. I had those people coming on my show saying, absolutely not, never Trump. And then they embraced him like a bear hug just as soon as he decided he was going to attack Iran and was cozying up with Israel. And that's their main issue.
And J.D. Vance would never know anything about a sudden about turn on your opinion on Donald Trump. Never.
And now they're starting to get a little wobbly. And I wonder whether the president sees maybe his new best friends aren't quite as in love with him and loyal as he thought.
Yeah, and I would say the same thing to them that I'd say to the non-interventionists who have been a little black-pilled over the last few months. I'd say you don't quit the political process just because the president, who, by the way, has way more information than any of his critics have, is making a decision that they don't agree with. Disagree with it. We have the First Amendment in the United States of America. I'm not saying be a patsy. I'm not saying be...
Hey, I wasn't a big fan of Kamala Harris, but, like, she wouldn't have done this absolute horse shit. Like, she would have done other bad horse shit, but it wouldn't have been absolute horse shit.
You know, a person who always falls in line, make your viewpoint understood. But I think this is a very important part. In a coalition, we have a two-party system in this country. You've got, 80 million people, 85 million people who voted for Donald Trump. Nobody is going to agree with the administration 100% of the time. So, you know, it actually doesn't bother me that Mark Levin is criticizing this deal, even though I think this deal is great for the American people. I'm going to go on a show for the next few days. I'm going to defend it. What would bother me is if Mark Levin said, you know what, the president just did something I didn't like, and I'm going to go home. I'm not part of it.
Also, he only got 77 million votes. The idea that he got 88 million votes is that is incorrect.
This coalition, screw that guy. I think that's the mistake that way too many people across our political system make.
Thanks.
God. J.D. Vance is such a clown. But ultimately, I find it very funny that he was going on television talking about how, no, the $300 billion, it's lies. You're believing misrepresentations from the Iranian government. Ha ha ha. And then immediately it leaks that, of course, in the Memorandum of Understanding, there is $300 billion for Iran.
JD on an apologia tour like this.
Well, keep in mind, JD Vance is doing it almost out of necessity because he's released a new book. It's like the worst timing in the world for JD Vance to release a book, and he picked the worst possible time. It's very funny, but interesting number to choose. Dude does have 88 on the brain. Let's be very clear. I would not be surprised if he did pick that number intentionally. Now, all of that to be said, chat, if you got anything out of this, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Let me know in the comments what you actually think about the Memorandum of Understanding. I view it as a complete capitulation by the United States. I don't think there's really any other way to read it, but I'm sure there are other opinions out there. And all of that, go check out your local Dems. Check out your local DSA. Organize. The solution to the problem is organizing. Join your local Dems, get involved on the local level, get those corporate Dems out, get those lobbyist Dems out, and get pro-working class Dems in charge. We need to do this from the ground up. All right. And we can then also organize around a Montana Plan initiative in every state, build that momentum, and get corporate money out of our politics on a state-by-state basis. Hawaii's already done it. Montana's in the process of doing it. You can do it in your state too. All right. And join your local DSA. You can help organize local labor in your area by doing so. If you need help getting started, join our Discord. Reach out to Dragonfly for help with your local Dems. Reach out to GamerG for help with your local DSA. And also, folks, you can check out Progressive Victory to get linked directly in leftist campaigns, not just in your local area, but across the country, because leftists who are running for office need help knocking on doors, need help phone banking, need help text banking, and need help doing research. So if you are interested in doing any of that, also check out Progressive Victory, link down in the description. And also, folks, check out ImogeneOlivia.com, gender euphoric lingerie designed from the ground up for trans femmes, also tested with cis men, cis women, non-binary folks. It is comfortable, sexy, non-tucking lingerie. Go check it out, ImogeneOlivia.com, link down in the doobly-doo. Let's keep on going.
Riverboat Deck is going to town. All the viewers gather round. Twitch and YouTube is where she streams. All that content is bursting the seams. Politics, gaming, plenty more. Her sense of fashion you'll adore. So grab your stuff and hop aboard. We're going straight to Jack's Discord.